Damn, homie. In high school, you was the man, homie. The fuck happened to you? Sick as vendetta. When it come to the cheddar, play with my paper, homie, you gon' meet my Beretta. A shorty think I'm a sweater, sippin' on my Moretta. Tell me something, something. I know I can do better, she look good. But I know she after my cheddar, she tryna get to my pockets, homie, and I ain't gon' let her. Start some bullshit, you get your house.
Yellow, yellow. Boom. Alright, we playing. Oh no, I'm playing The Last of Us Part 2 Lost Levels. Now, I just found out about these right now. Oh no, like 3 hours ago. I was watching a video about it, and I thought it was just like. I thought you couldn't play the levels. I just thought it was a behind the scenes in the video in one of these videos. It was just showing us around. But no, it was a video of somebody going through it, up through the lost levels. But I know you can actually play them. Until in the video it said you're about to play this level, and I'm like, what? So then I came and checked, and I only watched this one. I already know what happens in this one, the hunt. But I still haven't played these. Jackson Party, like this is cool. The sewers. I don't know how long these are, but I hope it's pretty long. Okay, I'm gonna start with this one, cause this is the start. What? Okay, it's gonna be a video too. We're gonna watch it. Let's see what this guy has to say.
You're about to play an unfinished level from The Last of Us Part 2. The reason we added this section is there are a few sequences, and we picked the 3 of the best ones, that we cut from the game. You know, often we build a game that's much bigger than what ends up being the final product. They're months away from being finished, but we wanted to give you an insight of what it's like when we built the game, because often we have this whole thing constructed and it doesn't have final art or audio or dialogue. And here you get to see the building blocks of what it's like when we first string a bunch of these levels together. This is the intro to the first deleted level, and this one is the roughest of the 3. We wanted to show more of how Jackson operates. So this is the festival where Ellie ultimately kisses Dina. This sequence would have come very late in the game as a flashback sequence while you're in the farm with Dina. And we wanted to show what is the rest of Jackson doing, and wanted to put on the stick, make it interactive. So you could see when you're outside, there are all these almost like carnival games that you can play. You could mix drinks, you could play with these kids that are playing a sort of clicker Marco Polo, sit down and listen to conversations.
Yo, if I get to talk to Jesse?
Interactions were first or second pass, very, very early passes. The building blocks are there, but nothing is final. And ultimately, while we were very excited by this sequence, it's pretty fun and lighthearted. It just slowed things too much as we're barreling towards the end of the story at this point. So again, reminder, rough, missing audio, missing animation, missing gameplay tweaks, missing dialogue, but pretty representative of what it would have been. So enjoy.
If I get more content with Jesse, what the fuck? Oh, okay, this is like if I get more Jesse, bro, it's cool. Okay, Ellie, fucking alcoholic, bro. She got a wife beat on. She drinking.
Originally, this level was going to transition us to farm. We would go all the way through to the dance, where Ellie and Dina share their first kiss. Then we would play through farm, and when Ellie plays the guitar at night, she would remember the Seth incident. So, the opening for this was a little tricky. We needed it to match at least a little what you might expect emotionally coming from prior beats, because we were already purposefully disorienting you in time and space. Remember, you just came from this huge fight. To jump straight into it would have been a little too jarring. After some back and forth, we rooted it in Ellie's nerves, calling back to her hands shaking in the theater. But this time, for a much more innocuous reason we'll find out later. She's nervous because she has a crush on Dina, who is the only reason why she's here at the dance.
Okay, but Why is this wife beater so goddamn dirty? Look at that. It's nasty. They have to have washers or like they got a river that they wash their clothes in, bro. This is gross.
Something we really wanted to do was highlight the way their lives had turned upside down since she went down this path. We had this idea of recontextualizing all of our usual gameplay mechanics that were designed for really violent ends. The workbench, door bashes, throwable weapons, and even the infected, which is my personal favorite. Peppered throughout the level are moments of levity or shared history, all the while seeing how happy and mundane they all were before her huge revenge odyssey.
Okay.
We use our workbench a lot to make a lot of things that kill and maim and hurt people. Here, we had the silly idea of using the same feel, harkening back to the same animations, using the exact same UI to instead fix a drink. Like the workbench, you could pick your base and then you could add something to it. And at the time, we had some different reactions from Ellie based on how strong you chose to make the drink. Something we wanted to prototype though, before it got cut, was picking up some ingredients around to add, like a lime or maybe a bottle of someone's favorite whiskey or salt, like you were earning upgrades. We also toyed with having Ellie carry around the drink you made and occasionally sip it, psyching herself up to go talk to Dina inside because she's nervous. It got too noodly though, because she would need to keep placing it somewhere before she did anything, so it would have ended up more trouble than it was worth.
So who's talking? What? Was she talking? That's just like a side conversation? The beside people? Okay. Oh, shoot. Nuts. Wait. Why Ellie say nuts? Okay, it's too quiet. No, I need some
It
voice
is
lines
not
from
a
Ellie.
festival without one of these throwing games. This one, of course, uses our throwable system where you're often chucking explosive things or stunning things, but for a more wholesome purpose, although some people take this game really seriously. A fun aspect of this is if you did well, you could win a toy here. Ellie would place it in her pocket. If you had done this, you'd find the toy with JJ, the baby, later back at the farm. When we cut this, the toy made it through anyway because it was so cute. It is the same one you see on the tractor at the farm. Ollie the elephant.
This game is rigging me. Yeah, okay. Was I gonna win a toy right now? If I did get it? Go fuck this. Yo, these kids are annoying.
The makeup artist is pretty simple. It's one of those little in-game scenes we peppered in to make it feel like Ellie had roots in the town.
Hey, Ellie,
Ellie, our
come
writer,
sit.
mentioned that in her mind, an
Okay.
ex-girlfriend of Ellie's tattooed her arm to cover up her scar. So we figured
What's
this might
tattoo
be the
doing?
only time you get to see that. We wanted to hint at it and allude to it and make it feel like there had been so much more that had been happening and so much more that Ellie threw away.
It's fine. Does its job. We should touch it up. Maybe I can add something else. Wait, that's Kate or Cat? What? He said she said Kate, right? That's how you pronounce it. That's Kate. Well, it's not finished. Maybe it doesn't look like her, but that was supposed to be her.
This is one of my favorite sections because I think that it achieves both the slice of life aspect of Jackson while also being a stark reminder of how dark the world that they live in really, really is. To attract attention and curiosity, one of the kids was supposed to make this adorable, messed up little clicker impression, and the others would giggle. We tried a version where if you got close enough, the kid might try to follow you a little before turning back. Since clickers are blind and move by echolocation, for this game of messed up tag, Ellie must close her eyes and listen for when the children give themselves away. The thought was that these kids are in relative safety. They still grow up with the dangers of clickers and runners, and all those lessons would embed themselves in the games that they play. When the festival got cut, they tried to preserve this moment and move it to the front of the game where the snowball fight is, as a tutorial. However, being in the headspace of a clicker doesn't really teach you how to deal with them. Eventually, it evolved, and they instead made the snowball fight, which was, I think, way more effective. For me, it's
No, it
character
was not.
illuminating that not only does Ellie know this game, she plays along. There's a familiarity
Oh, I
with
thought it
the
was gonna get to
kids
play.
that's really nice to see, especially because it's such a difference from the Ellie we see later, who
Oh,
has
on
a
the
sort of
clicker?
hollow normalcy that she's trying to get with JJ, but kind of fails.
Now we were listening to what the girl was yapping about, but I ain't gonna lie. Not too much. Okay, you win. No voice lines. I need some voice lines. Okay, I was about to be like, yo, why is... Fuck! I was about to be like, why is Ellie wearing this old, beat-up outfit, you know, to a party? But this is just what they... You know, some finished, she wasn't actually gonna wear this. Okay, get me out of here. It's just the character model they put in. Isn't this the party, though, that... she kissed Dina?
There's a hidden spot at the
I
back
could just put her in that
that was
model.
just a bit of fun. It was highlighting Jackson's normalcy with something we would find in a real world. In the back, you would find teenagers finding some alone time with each other in a dark corner of a party. It was rewarding the player
Yeah,
for
they're not
peeking into a
teenagers.
hidden corner, but ultimately redirecting them back to the festival. We also had versions of them smoking weed here, despite Maria's consternation, probably having gotten it from Eugene.
Time to go inside. Maria. Yo, Ellie looks so happy. Tommy. And that's it. Okay, Seattle sewers. Lost levels. Seattle sewers.
In this second deleted level, which is an extended sequence of the sewers in Seattle. This comes on the heels of where Ellie goes into a building and she survives an attack by stalkers and gets thrown out of a window and gets swept away by the current. And then we cut this section that used to be there in the final game. Now you will get to play it. So this was a way to get a bit more interesting puzzles, interesting traversal, figure out how Ellie can navigate the sewers with the fighting current. Ultimately, with a lot of these levels and these sequences, the reason why we cut them were for pacing purposes. But here it is for you in this very kind of raw form that part of it will feel finished, parts of it will feel like assets are missing as far as audio, animation won't be final, but it's a glimpse into what a game looks like when it's months away from finishing. Enjoy.
Oh shit! Can't fight the current, so I'm just gonna swim with it.
Okay. Okay.
No. Oh,
ladder acts as an immediate
hell
goal
am
for the
I?
player, but being able to climb out is not going to be so easy. To keep levels interesting and engaging, we alternate between positive and negative values the player experiences. Here, it's a positive to have found a ladder, but then a negative to discover it's not the solution. But then another positive to identify the next short-term goal of the doorway. By alternating between these opposing values, we give players what they expect, but not how they expect it.
I wasn't listening. Oh. This?
Fucking kidding me.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Okay. There's gotta be another way out.
Oh, fuck. Can't swap guns. I have to pull out
This level, internally known as Find Nora, was quite long in duration as we had to make Ellie traverse a far distance to the opposite side of downtown Seattle. The sewer section was originally longer than what we released the game with, approximately 10 minutes more. This was one of the few areas of the game that used water flow as part of a traversal puzzle. The player has to go upstream to use the current to get to the platform to reach the other side. We mostly kept this mechanic game-wide, however it remained in essence in the section swimming to the aquarium as Ellie when you were avoiding the waves. When players reach the doorway and enter into the room, they are faced with a dead end. The real reason for this dead-end room is that on the reversal when exiting back out of the doorway, players are faced with the route onwards. A pipe that they'd not been able to see when they were swept past it on the way in, and something that was hidden from view when on the side platforms. The intention here being that the only option is to go off the standard path in order to search for a way out.
Okay, this is her like 16th birthday journal. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's not making anything? Nope. I guess there's a little rag right here.
Get me the hell out of here.
Throughout the rest of the level, we also used light to indicate to the player that they were heading in the right direction. At each turn, however, we blocked the direct route forwards. Players would know that they just have to keep finding alternative paths, promoting those feelings of being desperate and trapped. We slowly introduced the player to consider climbing into smaller pipes and crouching in these tight spaces. This is to slowly build up to and encourage the player to climb into such a small pipe that they'd have to be crawling on their stomach, which is something that the player previously may not have recognised as a playable space, let alone the desired route they need to take. We added a tiny space just to reward the player's exploration with a pickup item, and we made sure it was something that made sense that you'd find in this area. A canister and all the garbage that had been washed into the sewers from the surface.
Okay.
We loved the idea of making Ellie prone through a tiny dirty pipe in order to get out, as it was a great opportunity to use our prone mechanic.
Lose your
The
shit,
unique
Ellie.
camera setup was created to support crawling in these pipes, as the standard prone camera is much higher above the player. We also created custom collision in order for Ellie to manoeuvre in these tight spaces easily. Initially, the oblong collision capsule around her character caused issues crawling around corners. We put extra effort into the custom corner collision so the movement experience is as smooth as the main game. In order for the player to feel cramped, claustrophobic and desperate, we'd been enforcing the traversal mechanics that allow for a tight environment which promote these feelings. We introduced the use of the squeeze through so that we can keep the player feeling enclosed and tight,
Can't get
but
up
without
there.
repeating the same geometry. Here we change from low ceilings with wider walls to high ceilings and tight walls to change up the spatial pacing and keep the level from repeating itself.
Shit, I survived.
Yo, how long does it take to make sewers?
Originally,
crazy.
we had the water line much higher here, so players had to swim through this tight tunnel. However, from watching user test feedback, it was occasionally causing people to discount the route entirely and turn back on themselves. So to avoid any risk of this happening in the final game, we present a lower water level so the tunnel is easy to see and commit to using. Although this isn't as impactful without the prone swim, it's the better decision as it means a smoother experience for the player with no backtracking frustration.
Just a little bit.
We draw the player towards this pipe as it is seemingly the route out of the tight space. Fairly soon it is obvious that this path is blocked. If the player goes all the way up to the bars that block the path, they are rewarded with a pickup, so this journey doesn't feel wasted. It is important to encourage the player to try to progress along this path so that they would subtly be thinking of
Oh, you
progress in
could
this
swap. Oh, I
direction.
forgot how to swap.
We
for
hint to the player that there is a bigger, new space beyond this pipe by showing
I
the
thought I
player
pressed
the
L1.
waterfall. This helps players consider the other route when they don't know how far the tunnel is or whether they'd make it. As we surface from the water and over the crest of the slope, we reveal what is further in this tunnel. A clicker that's sprouted and the fungus has grown on the sides of the pipe. It was great to see people who user tested this area becoming increasingly worried as we forced the player to squeeze past the fungus and inches away from the clicker's face, all the time not being sure whether the clicker might be alive or attack them. Although we aren't as cruel as to force
pop
a
it,
clicker
just
attack
pop
in
it.
such close proximity, we do have a payoff for this moment. This clicker momentarily turned into Joel to show Ellie's PTSD from what happened to Joel at the start of the game. Ultimately, we decided to save this moment for the farm level, as it was more impactful there because it could become the centrepiece of that experience. Whereas in the sewers, we weren't able to make it as much of a narrative point and give it the breathing room and reaction time that it deserves, given the tight space.
Oh, shit!
Go underwater? Ooh. Nothing. Okay, this is the area that we would have like started at. Right? In the original game?
For the final section, we eventually opened you out into a wider area as you traverse through
looks like
such
it.
tight spaces leading up to this. So changing the environmental pacing makes it begin to feel like we're coming to the end of Ellie's ordeal. An earlier iteration used the current that we'd shown at the start for a slightly tougher traversal puzzle to conclude the sewers. The ladder was clearly visible from most of the area, but the player was faced with a fast-flowing torrent of water they couldn't cross. If the player attempted
I
to
just
jump into the
drowned.
water, they were not able to swim across the ladder due to the water's speed. But instead, they had to
I
traverse
wanna
the
drown
pipe
when
running
shit
along the top of the space in order to
I
get
hope I don't
across
gotta
the
restart. If I
water.
restart, I'm quitting the game. Maybe I won't even drown. You know, I've never drowned before. It's my first time seeing her die. Drowning. Okay, I can't sound weird saying that. Nothing new. We ain't getting no more Jesse. I wanted some more Jesse, but we ain't getting none of that.
Using this pipe was retained in the iteration we shipped with, as it's the last of the extreme methods Ellie has to undergo in order to escape the sewers, and what she will go through in her pursuit of revenge. The last ladder climb is quite lengthy, and although we could have trimmed it down to a shorter climb, we liked how this last segment of the journey built anticipation for whether there was success at the top or not after all you've been through. Ultimately, the ladder exits out into the subway station, which is how it connects in the final game. Ellie then has to find her way to the hospital from here, crossing paths with the scars for the first time.
Okay. That's it, cause I already played this one. I didn't play it, but I already watched it. I already know what happens. I already know what it's about. Concept art. This is. Oh, this is like constant art. Damn! Concept art packs. Look at this one. Okay. Ooh. It kind of looks swaggy. Yo, ew, what is that hair, bro? This fit tough. This tough too. This looks a little zesty. I didn't say zesty because it's a rainbow. It's because the way she's standing. Well, I don't like that. I don't like this one. Yeah, swaggy. The face looks photoshopped on. Because it probably is. Alright, bro. I like this picture. It looks tough there. Wait, that's Elliot. Who is this? Is this one just an enemy? Who is this? This is not Ellie. I guess it was. Maybe it was. Just concept art. Excuse me. Ew. Damn, they had Abby as a skeleton. Nah, she still had definition when we found her. She was still skinny, man. It was sad to see. Waking up. Okay, Ellie look funky there. She look like Jimmy Neutron. Jesse. Ooh, Jesse looks tough here. The fuck? The Overlook. I don't know what that is. That was supposed to be Owen. Yo, Owen looks tired. Or high. Nah, he looks tired. Ew. Packing up. What's this tough pick? What is this? Who are they walking past? Okay, I don't know. Is Joel dead? Yeah, okay. Oh, was about to execute Ellie. That's like a real person right there. Dina. Maybe that's the actor. They just put a picture of her. That is not Dina. Is that Jesse? Road to the aquarium. Yeah. Wait a minute. This is living Yolanda, whatever her name is. I don't know. Flooded city, flooded city. Holy shit! What is that? Infiltration. That looks like a scar. Okay, that's Ellie. That's probably supposed to be Tommy and Jesse. $18 images. Man.